How to prove for yourself that the paranormal does exist. Hello, welcome to my channel. I hope you are well and happy today. Thank you for being here with me once more. My name is Marie. One of the strongest arguments skeptics use against those who believe in an afterlife, or at least believe that consciousness continues after death, is that it is nothing more than wishful thinking, the ego's incapacity to face its own destruction at death, and a coping mechanism to be able to face life, knowing that it will end someday, or tomorrow, and to be able to live reasonably happily, in spite of death's inevitability. People know about death, yet they prefer to ignore it, and continue living as if it didn't exist, including living in a toxic and destructive manner that destroys the body's health and integrity, bringing death closer to them. Even though each person has to take responsibility and make their own choice about what they choose to believe, facts are still facts, and in the face of the most ardent skeptics and scientists that would argue against what I'm going to say, yes, consciousness continues after death, and so does the evolution and awareness expansion of a soul. But having stated what I think, and the conclusion I came to, why should you believe me? And my answer is that you shouldn't. That is something that only you can decide, it is your responsibility. But I can share with you how to get to that conclusion for yourself. But as I said above, it depends on you, and on you alone, so you must do the work, because it does require work and dedication, it is not possible otherwise. You must put your back into it and it can take time. First of all, you must start from a place of mind where you are in observation mode only. This is very important. You must not judge anything as you go researching the paranormal, because that is what you must do. You have it easy nowadays, as watching a ton of YouTube documentaries may be enough for you to form your own conclusions, but if you can research the paranormal more thoroughly, reading books is much better, obviously, and going out there in the field to search for evidence on your own is even better. But a word of caution here, as field research into the paranormal can be very dangerous, and I don't mean only because you might get into trouble with the living, trespassing private property, or having to deal with guardian dogs with razor-sharp teeth. I mean it can be dangerous solely from the point of view of what you may encounter with the paranormal itself. But besides dangerous field research, you can draw your own informed conclusions with simple research. As I said above, don't judge what you will find as you go along. Start from a point of healthy skepticism, perhaps even explaining away what you are told using logic and even science, but in a truly honest and impartial way, observing what you think, and why you think that way, knowing that it is the result of your upbringing, be it in favor of believing, or of not believing in the paranormal. Although if you are in favor of believing in the paranormal, you most probably already have your long list of reasons why. Let's say that you are going to research the paranormal by watching countless YouTube videos. It is not the best place for this, I know, but it's a modern example where most people will, and can do their research, as it also leaves your hands and eyes mostly free to do other things, while you listen. You will find creepypasta after creepypasta, videos made of simple stories people make up with their vivid imagination, and you will also find countless videos with a strong religious, brainwashing, population control intention, beware of those especially. Then you will also find countless scientific and pseudo-scientific videos, debunking and explaining away paranormal events with hard-stretched science, and with a strong materialistic and deterministic flavor in them. You will find that around 98% of all the things you watch are either made-up stories, religious propaganda, or scientific debunkers. But as you go along, you will start to see a small 2% of things, data, and events that you cannot explain away by any means. Then you may logically conclude that they cannot be explained because data is missing, because you don't know the entire picture surrounding the events in question. Okay, valid argument, but continue watching more videos and researching the paranormal as much as possible. Remember, you need motivation and a personal reason to do so. No one else can do this for you. As you move along, you will start to see a pattern in everything you watch about the paranormal. You may attribute that pattern to other causes, to the influence people have on one another, influence that we can say is part of the collective unconscious, but as you go observing closely, you can start to see that all paranormal events follow certain common rules, the pattern. Then you will notice that all those paranormal patterns start to add up to shape your understanding of why there can never be any definitive evidence, why there can never be enough proof that the paranormal exists, yet you also start to see that in spite of there not being any so-called evidence, it is there. As you patiently go researching and learning more and more about the paranormal, you will start to notice that all that you have seen is starting to create a bulk of evidence in your head, evidence that may only be valid to you, and to your understanding of the world, and how it works. The more you move along researching and watching paranormal events, you will notice that the evidence in favor of its existence is so great, that it not only works for you and your belief system, but it becomes hard scientific evidence, some of which could even be valid in a court of law. And then you will progressively go into understanding why the evidence is being suppressed, and by whom. After a thorough research into the subject, you suddenly realize that there is evidence of the existence of the paranormal, and all these lower astral and astral aspects of life are being manipulated and suppressed for innumerable reasons, but mostly for population control. But my point is that as you go researching the paranormal thoroughly, you progressively accumulate so much evidence, even if that evidence may be valid only for you, that it becomes ludicrous, and even silly to even doubt its existence. But, as I said at the beginning of this video, you must enter this personal research experiment into the paranormal, with a clear and impartial mind, leaving your preconceived ideas at the door, or else it simply will not work because you already have your opinion on this matter, and you will explain away everything with what has been pre-programmed into you. This explaining away can be of a religious nature, where everything is because God did it, and He works in mysterious ways, nice and convenient phrases to explain away all things, or in a purely scientific manner where everything has a reason, and if not, then there is missing data, but there must be a logical explanation to that. Where that must be is also a convenient explain away everything scientific tool. This brings me to the infamous and overused Occam's razor, which is a principle often attributed to 14th century Friar William of Ockham. It states that if you have two competing ideas to explain the same phenomenon, you should prefer the simpler one. This is often mentioned as the power of simplicity. The most common phrase is the following, quote, "All things being equal, the simplest solution tends to be the correct one." End quote. Although I won't deny this is valid for most everyday simple events, as you go into more complicated subjects, its validity starts to crumble, and this is the problem when it is used as an argument against all paranormal things. Who decides if all things are equal or not, and who decides which is the simplest solution, and with which parameters, I ask? For Occam's razor to be valid, there must be a reasonably good understanding of the event in question, and of every circumstance that surrounds it, because if that is not so, then whoever is using Occam's razor is assuming that he knows enough about what is going on. An assumption is the mother of all mistakes. This is especially applicable to the paranormal because that is a subject that is precisely defined by what is not known. Not all things are equal, much less when dealing with paranormal events, and neither are they simple. On the contrary, they are always occurring at different levels of understanding and of awareness, happening in different planes of existence, or realms, basically, each one with its own rules. But after researching the paranormal thoroughly, you may even come to the logical conclusion that Occam's razor can be applied, or used there as well, but with your new parameters, and with your understanding, where explaining away an event as caused by a ghost may be in fact the simplest solution. As always, listen to everyone, and blindly follow no one. Listening to everyone, and reading every book you possibly can get your hands on, can only work in your favor, because it inevitably will expand your mind and your consciousness. The only problem with this statement is that each day has only 24 hours, so you must also learn to discern who deserves your time and attention, and who does not. This means that although it is preferable to listen and read every one, you must learn to prioritize your valuable time. It is possible to convince yourself of why the paranormal exists, or does not exist, but that depends on you. I am quite convinced that if you do this learning exercise properly and impartially, with an observant, neutral mind, you will come to the conclusion that the paranormal does exist, and there cannot be any other conclusion other than fully accepting it does. For some people, I included, there is no doubt about this, as we experience paranormal events on a nearly daily basis. They become part of our life, and of who we are, and we fully accept this. Thank you for watching my video, and for liking and subscribing, I appreciate it a lot. And I hope to see you here next time. Thank you all for your kind donations. They are helping me a lot, they are a game changer for me. Thank you all. Take care and see you the day after tomorrow, for English. With much love, your friend, Mari Swaruu.